Hey, it's AAA Wednesday, which stands for Ask Alyssa Anything, and it's my weekly Q&A session for my amazing subscribers where I'm answering questions in the comments about the publishing industry and writing a better book. I've really been enjoying doing these sessions because you all bring up things that I haven't even thought of or things that I didn't realize were issues for you, so I'm really excited to speak to some of your concerns a bit more directly. If you're new here, welcome. Every week, in addition to these sessions, I also post videos on the publishing industry and I do deep dives into craft topics as my professional background is in developmental book editing in the Big Five publishing house context. So if any of that interests you, I recommend subscribing and joining our amazing group of authors. Before we get into the questions today, it would mean a lot to me if you just pop down and hit that thumbs up button. It does things I don't understand with the YouTube algorithm, but really helps out my channel, so I'd really appreciate it. Without further ado, let's dive into the first question today. Book signings used to be a thing. Are they still? How do they work? I think one thing that is difficult for many authors is that writing your book is a very personal experience. You've put a spoon into your noggin and dished out your story, hoping that that nasty antagonist is not who you truly are. That puts a lot of drama into selling it, much less letting people poke and prod at it, but you've got to do it. Wow, I love that metaphor you came up with of dishing out your brain and putting it on a plate. It's a little bit gory, but that is really what writing is, right? It's opening up and exposing your rawest, most vulnerable self, even in fiction, I think. So I think it's an apt metaphor for sure. Now, when it comes to your question about book signings, they're absolutely still a thing. Not necessarily every author is going to have a big book tour with tons of events and book signings, but publishers typically will encourage their authors to do local events and signings wherever they're based, because we do see sales correlated with events like that. People like to buy stories from local authors, especially if the book has a tie to the setting where you currently live. So typically a signing event would involve you speaking about the book a little bit, maybe doing an interview with a host or another author, and then reading a little bit of the book. And then you'll sit at a table and people who were in the audience who were interested in buying the book would come up and you would sign it to them. It can be a great way to engage directly with readers and get your face and name out there, especially, as I said, in your local community. Bigger authors do book tours, so they'll go around major cities and do events at local bookstores, and those will typically include a signing component. Now, if you work with a publishing house and you are completely opposed to doing any type of in-person event, I would just bring that up with your publisher and say that you're not interested in doing book signings or events. In my experience, publishers would respect that request and they wouldn't force you to do an event that you don't want to. They might explain to you why they feel that you should do it, but I don't see why you can't have a productive conversation about that. And ultimately, they don't want to force you to do something that you don't want to do. But in short, book signings are, yes, definitely still a thing. And I should mention too, it's not off the table for a self-published author to also have an event and book signing as well. They would just need to get in touch with their local bookstore or whatever organization or location would sponsor the event directly and work that out with them, but you can definitely do book signings as a self-published author as well. Before we get into the next question, I wanted to let you know about a free resource I created specially for my YouTube community. It's called My Story Self-Assessment Worksheet, and the link to download it is in the description below. It is a fun, easy way to look at your manuscript from a new perspective and see things that you can improve on the next draft. I know sometimes you're just so deep in it, you can't see the forest from the trees. And I created this resource to help you get out of that mindset and see it more objectively. Downloading that is also going to sign you up for my newsletter, Chapter Break, where I publish exclusive interviews with publishing industry insiders and successfully published authors. You all have given me such amazing feedback on the newsletter. I'm so happy I did it, and I'm so happy you're enjoying it. If you want to check out the newsletter directly, the link is also in the description. Here's the next question. There's a best-selling steamy romance writer who self-publishes anonymously with a high track record of having top number 50 and top number 100 books on Amazon, makes a lot of money, and has a large fan base. The writer now wants to traditionally publish using their own name in a non-romance, non-steamy genre. Should they mention the secret steamy pen name when querying, even with YA and MG? Now you've got me really intrigued. Are you this steamy, best-selling romance author? In all seriousness, absolutely. This author should mention their previous successes and their pen name in their query letter. Even though they're now trying to publish under their real name and in a totally different genre, that track record is very impressive and is likely going to catch an agent's interest because even though, again, it's in a different genre, it speaks to this author's ability to captivate readers and the strength of their writing and their storytelling, right? Which is transferable to any genre. I do think that mentioning the pen name and the track record of sales is going to appeal to literary agents and catch their attention. So this author should not leave that opportunity on the table and should definitely mention their publishing history in their query letters. We have time for one more question today. I queried a project about 3 years ago, and a top agent read the full and expressed interest with some reservations. We scheduled a phone call, but she canceled less than an hour beforehand and then completely ghosted me. I ended up withdrawing that project and am now querying another one. Should I query the agent who ghosted me? I normally wouldn't, but she is consistently at the top of my genre on Publishers Marketplace, and she was at least interested to some degree in my prior project. First, I'm so sorry that you had this experience where the agent ghosted you after you had a follow-up call scheduled. That must have been incredibly disappointing and disheartening to get so close to talking to this agent about your book and then them just completely falling through on you. That's not the standard in the industry, and I wish this agent gave you more explanation for why that happened, but I would give them the benefit of the doubt, and maybe a personal issue just came up, or maybe an issue came up with their client list, and that agent was no longer able to take on any more clients at that time. Regardless of the reason why they ghosted you and didn't follow up with that phone call, I would recommend querying them again, and I would recommend mentioning your prior conversation. The truth is that it's rare for an agent to get to the point of reading the full manuscript, offering you feedback, and wanting to talk to you on the phone. That really shows a deep interest in your project. And you mentioned that this agent is very highly respected in the industry, so I would definitely try them again. After all, that situation with them did happen 3 years ago, and there's no reason for them to be holding any type of bad blood against you. You didn't do anything wrong in this situation. So I'd go ahead and see what that agent thinks about this manuscript. Hopefully they see potential and express interest in this one as well. That's all we had time for today. If you have a question you'd like to ask, drop it in the comments here and it will be added to my queue for my next session. Before you head out, if you've been enjoying these sessions, please hit that thumbs up button. It really helps my channel and allows my videos to reach more authors just like you. And hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And don't forget your free story self-assessment worksheet and my newsletter link in the description below. Thanks so much for watching and happy writing.